Hey guys, Stack Overflow released their 2018 developer survey results where they interviewed over 100,000 developers to find out a little bit about them, what their languages of choice are, what they love, what they hate, how much money they make, all that sort of stuff. And we're going to go over it. I actually have, we were talking about it with some coworkers in the car, and I didn't realize that it came out yet, and so I wanted to talk about it. I think I did a video last year in 2017 about their results, and I'll link that video in the description below if you just want to kind of compare and contrast. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Hey guys, before we get started, a little shout out to myself. If you're interested in Angular, I just built a new project on Udemy. It's my Angular 360 Part 2 course where we're using a bunch of cryptocurrency APIs to display what have been up, what has been down, as well as some sorting and filtering, and a little Bitcoin chart. So it's this fun project, about 6 hours of content. If you're interested in, coupon code CodingGod in the description for $10. All right, so as I mentioned, 100,000 developers. It's a lot. It's hard to get research for 100,000 people. 30-minute survey. I'm not doing shit for free for 30 minutes. So to the 100,000 of you who did it, I appreciate your justice to the cause. All right. Let's see a few trends. DevOps and machine learning. All right. Only a tiny fraction of developers have said they write unethical code. Dolan, we're talking to you. All right. Developers are overall optimistic about the possibilities of artificial intelligence. Yeah, until the new Terminator movie comes out. Python, as we know, is raising up. Surpassed PHP. God bless. All right. So let's continue on with what actually is going on. You can kind of see where the bulk of the developers are from. So you'll see India, as to be expected, but about 21% or so are from America, just so that you can get an idea of where these 100,000 people are going. Oh, this is who visit. This is survey respondents, so 21%. Monthly Stack Overflow visits, we can see that also. Oh, it's about pretty similar. So professional developers, pretty similar. So yeah. So developer roles. Of the 100,000 who committed to it, looks like back end, full stack, front end. Okay, it always makes sense because I just feel like web developers use the web more. I know it's kind of a weird assumption, like, oh well, web developers are going to answer this more often than not. But hey, front end developers, mobile developer, student. Oh, type of developers. How does student should be on there? All right, contributing to open source, 44%. Now, I wonder if that means that you just submitted, you're using someone's software, and then you tell them that part of it's broken, you submit a bug ticket, because I don't really think that counts as contributing to open source. Coding as a hobby, 20% says no, 80% says yes. I would bet that this 100,000 people is that actually did this survey do code as a hobby, but by and large, I would say the bulk of the developers that I work with don't. Not anymore, anyhow. So I'd be very surprised if 80% of working developers code as a hobby. I do. I love it. I have the channel. I do courses, but I'd be surprised about that. So where do you stack in years since learning to code, right? All respondents, 12%, 3 to 5 years. So 3 to 5 years is the biggest group here in terms of experience, which is nice to know. But you can see if you're basically, if you make it past this 8-year mark, if you make it into this range, you really are. Once you make it past 8 years, you're in the, the very, very top. It starts getting to single digits after multiple years. Coding professionally. Oh, so this is just coding as a hobby. Okay, I gotcha. So like I would probably land in the 6 to 8 years at this point, or 5 years. It depends on when you say that I started, because I started in college, which was like 5 or 6 years ago. So if you count that, sweet. I'm somewhere between here, which is cool. Coding professionally, I'm about at 2 years, which is 30% of people, which is kind of crazy, right? 30% of people are 0 to 2 years coding professionally, and then after 3 to 5, if you make it past 5, you're killing it. Like, I have no other way of saying it. And then 6 to 8, once you make it here, you're pretty much God tier when it comes to developers. And I wonder if people change professions into like becoming a BA or a PM, or they no longer code professionally. They burn out. This is something I was talking about with my coworkers. But that's pretty crazy that 5 years, 57% of developers, and a full third of developers have 0 to 2 years professional experience. All right, years of professional coding by developer type. Front-end developer on average is 5.5 years. Full stack developer 6.3, and it makes sense, right? Engineering managers should have more. Nothing too crazy there. How many developers are students? 75% are. 20% are not. They're either, or excuse me, 20% are full-time, and then about 6% are part-time. Educational attainment. Primary, elementary school, secondary school, some college, university without a degree. Your boy. This is what's so crazy, is that this has now become a group. Like, isn't this kind of crazy where it's almost like, oh, I went to college, it wasn't for me, but hey, we want to track that, or we want to track that you went and got some credits, because it's just a crazy thing that this is a category nowadays. I don't know how, it's strange to me. Associate's degree. People ask all the time, should you get an associate's degree? There's a 3.1% associate's degree compared to 46% bachelor's degree and 22% master's degree. I think the numbers really speak for themselves, that there is no value in an associate's degree in terms of what degrees get you, based off of getting you through that HR wall. That's my answer, and I think the data here supports that. Undergraduate degree. So what are people getting in their bachelor's, right? We see 46% have bachelor's degrees. Well, 64% of the time they're getting some sort of software engineering, computer science, another engineering. This is I'm not too surprised by this other, that 9% are also getting the engineering, information systems, biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics, web development or web design. I would like to see this category bump up. I don't think there's enough good web development degree programs in schools. Like, this could be such an amazing thing. You could cover so much. Imagine a 4-year program where you're learning everything. Just everything. You're going to come out the full stack god dev. You know what I mean? But it's probably not like that, which is why there's 3% there. Other types of education. Taught yourself a new language, framework, tool without taking a formal course. 87%. Welcome to the world of being self-taught, where you can have something like, what was it, educational here? Something like, I don't know, what is that, about 90% of people who have gone to college or got a degree and unfortunately still have to go and teach themselves, all right? Not unfortunately, but that's why every developer, even if they go and get a PhD, considers themselves self-taught, right? Take an online course, programming, software, or development, MOOC. Massive online course. I forget what MOOC exactly stands for, but basically Udemy and those things. 49%. I'm surprised that's not higher, but I guess as you get older, you really don't even want to mess with someone else's course. Contribute to open source project. Received on-the-job training in software development. Really? 35%? Define on-the-job training, because I find that to be a substantially higher number than I would think. Participant hackathon. Online coding competitions. Taking a part-time in-person course in programming. 18%, huh? Completing an industry certification program. Participate full-time developer training program or bootcamp. So 10% of developers have gone to a bootcamp. That's pretty high, I think. Bootcamps are a relatively new thing, but they are continuing. And it is important, 68,000 people submitted that. Developers are lifelong learners. It's really a good statement, and you should kind of become familiar with. Ways developers learn on their own. Official documentation and or standards of technology. We got 83% of people lying, because I'll tell you right now, there's no good documentation in this world. It does not exist. There needs to be a new role where, I know there's a technical documentation guy, but that guy needs to get fired, and they need to create a new role that says actual good technical documenter. That should be the new role here. Questions on Stack Overflow. Questions and answers on Stack Overflow. There we go. That's more appropriate. A book? I must be the only one that doesn't like books. I find books to be absolutely useless. College, university. Alright. Why developers participate in hackathons? Because I find it enjoyable. That's why I go. I like to go. I don't really... To improve? Yeah, maybe. Network is also a good reason. New job opportunities is also a good reason. To win cash and awards is also a good reason. But I think they are enjoyable. So if you haven't gone to hackathon, go to like angelhack.io or just Google hackathons near me and see what pops up. Finding a job after a boot camp, right? This is something you're all very interested in. I already had a full-time job as a developer when I began the program. 45% of people... I would like to know if this was they already had a full-time job in software before they started the program. I think that's what that means. 16% immediately had a job after graduating. So less than a month, 7.5%. 1 to 3 months, 10%. So what is this number right here? So 26. So about 34% in 3 months found a job. So 1 in 3 found a job. 4 to 6 months, 6 months longer. I haven't got a developer job yet. I wonder what this is. I want to know if this is already had a software job. That's really what I want to know. Demographics. Whew. 92.7% male. I think this is worse than it was last year. In fairness, I don't remember if transgender or non-binary were on there, so that might have taken away from the female to male ratio. But I thought we were making progress. I thought more women were going into STEM, but apparently not. All right. Race and ethnicity, white or of European descent, 74.2%. This is interesting because a large portion of the survey, like this isn't 20% is from America, and probably another 20 to 30% is from Europe. So I was expecting these categories to be larger. I wonder. I think I said this last year. I wonder if the traditionally those of white or European descent have had easier upbringings because they've had more money in their sort of social structure, and I feel like to own a computer, a laptop, to have the time to, monitors, all that sort of upfront costs. I wonder if that's part of why certain ethnicities are involved in it more so than the others. It's just a social economic reason. I don't know. Just something I think about. Sexual orientation, straight, bisexual or queer, gay or lesbian, asexual. Okay. Moving on. So I really got nothing to say about that other than, okay. Let's roll with that. Parents' education levels. So my father has a bachelor's degree and I think a minor in something. But by the way, you notice there's nothing here for minors. So pretty much shows you how important those are. My mother is a nurse. I'm not sure where that falls in, an RN. Disability status. I have a mood or emotional disorder, depression, bipolar disorder. I have an anxiety disorder. I have a concentration or memory disorder. I identify as an autistic person or a person with autism. Huh. So is that about 25% of people or so? 23% of people have some sort of disability status. Interesting. Experience and gender. Men have, on average, is this... I wish it would say if this for professional or not. But they break it down. They break down the experience by the gender. I wonder, let's look at women. So women, you can see that women are a little bit more front-loaded in the 0 to 2 years experience as well as 3 to 5. And that the men tend to have, and that's probably just because women are getting more so into STEM and coding. In recent years, there's been a big push to be more inclusive. So age, all right. So I just did a video about ageism, and some people thought I was overly relaxed about it, but I think that you can see here, I don't think it's a huge issue, but maybe I'm wrong. 3/4 of developers who took our survey are younger than 35. Okay. So 3/4 of developers are 35 years or younger. I might have been wrong about age though. No. But that is a troubling stat. Because 35 to 44. I mean, here's the thing. This is why I'm not too worried about the stat. Is in terms of market demographics, it's like usually you want that like 18 to like 35 range, because those are the people most engaged, and I kind of feel like this might be something that's playing into here as well, but that's just my gut experience on it, my gut feeling on it. I really have no idea, but I would say that let's do professional developers. Oh, that's about the same thing. But yeah, this 25 to 34 is the largest category of developer, and you know, the next group is up to 44. I don't know. It's a hard subject. We'll leave it at that. We're not going to learn too much from a voluntary survey about ageism in the workplace. I already shared my thoughts. That's a separate video. Go watch that one if you want to yell at me. Average age by country and experience. So 28.7 in the United States. Brazil's 25. India's 22. I wonder why it's so young in India. Kinship, competition, self-evaluation. I feel a sense of kinship. Whatever. Life outside of work. Children and other dependents? No. Interesting. 71% of developers do not have kids. This year we asked respondents if they have children or other dependents that they care for. About a quarter of respondents said that they do. So this goes back to my point in the video as well, is that I don't like part of developers is it is a growing space, and I think that a younger generation got more involved in coding and software, and I think this is kind of supporting this as well, is that most people who are younger have no children as they're getting started, because they're focused on their career or whatever. But so this is, I didn't think it was going to be 71% though. That is a lot. All right, what time do developers wake up? I wake up somewhere between 5 and 6:30 depending on the day. Seems about the same for the bulk of people. And you can see here for contract employees for the remote devs, how much time do developers spend on a computer? This is about what I spend. Somewhere between this and this. So that's about right. Cool. How much time do developers spend outside? Somewhere around here. 3 to 4 hours, 10%. Really? I don't believe any of you. 1 in 10 people spend 10%. How often do developers skip meals to be productive? Never. I never skip meals. I do have some coworkers who recently did this, and I tried to tell them not to. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about that in a future video. All right, technology. This is the fun stuff. Number 1, JavaScript. Video over. That's all we needed to know. Scripting markup. So HTML, JavaScript, CSS. Damn, man, that's all some pretty important stuff. PHP. Why are you so high on the list, PHP? You need to die already. You need to die and go to hell. All right, so PHP. Let's see. And then at the bottom, Perl, Groovy, Scala, Kotlin. All right, cool. Frameworks, libraries, and tools. Node, Angular, React. So React is popping up in terms of jobs and everything. I recommend people learning React because they're really on a hiring frenzy. But even still, they're still below Angular. .NET Core, C#. This is what I'll be building a backend of a project of mine in. It's what my work uses as well. So pretty excited about that. Databases, MySQL, 59%. or use MySQL, SQL Server, MongoDB though, and PostgreSQL. These are our JSON databases. Pretty exciting stuff. And then a bunch of other ones. Platforms: Linux, Windows, Android. Don't really care about that. There's a link to this in the description as well if you're interested. Most loved, dreaded, and wanted language. All right, most loved, Rust. Very surprised. TypeScript. I actually do love TypeScript. I'm on the TypeScript type train, so I can see that. JavaScript. Where? Oh, did PHP make the list? PHP, second to last for most loved language. We got a bunch of people in denial. All right, dreaded. Visual Basic 6, MATLAB, VVNet, PHP. You know what didn't make the list here? JavaScript, TypeScript, but PHP made the list. Just saying. Just saying. Not throwing any shade, just saying. Most people want to work with Python. Most people want to work with JavaScript. 4% of people want to work with PHP. What's wrong with you people? What's wrong with you? Most loved, dreaded, and wanted frameworks. Love TensorFlow. People love React. Angular, dreaded. It's so funny. Loved, Angular 54%. Dreaded, Angular 45%. And React. Like, people don't want to touch the JavaScript frameworks. Wanted. You know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Most loved and wanted databases. Wanted platforms. Development and tools and environments. All right. Visual Studio Code is by far the most popular tool, text editor. Cool. Windows, Mac, Linux. I think we can all pretty much have assumed that was going to be it for the operating systems. How many monitors do you have? 31% of you developers are using one monitor. You need to get your shit together and get a second monitor. That is unacceptable. You're just so much more productive on at least two monitors. 51% have two monitors. 14% have 14, and I guess I'm in the minority with the 1.2% with 4 monitors. So, all right. Top paying technologies. So this guy gives you an idea of. We'll go to the United States because that's what I care about. What the highest paying ones are, and TypeScript 102,000. That ain't too shabby for TypeScript, which is basically JavaScript at the end of the day. Erlang, Scala, Objective-C, Perl, Kotlin, Rust. JavaScript's also on the list. Damn, no PHP. They didn't make the list, huh? PHP didn't make the list? Oh, okay. Correlated languages. Oh, this is interesting. So I bet. So this will tell you really what you need to learn. And you can see by what's going on here. What you really need to go for JavaScript. So you got Node, you got React, you got Angular, you got TypeScript, Visual Studio Code, MongoDB, CSS, HTML, SQL. Even there's a connection with PHP, which then has these connections. So it can go on and on and on. Dangerous and exciting about AI. Algorithms make important decisions. 28% believe it is going to surpass human intelligence. Evolving definitions of fairness. Increasing automation of jobs. All right, whatever. How do developers feel about the future AI? Excited. AI concerns by developer type. All right, work. Employed full-time. 75% of people who ask this are employed full-time. 10% are contractors. 6% are looking for work. This will break it down by geography. I don't want to go over that. Employment status for professional developers. Just checking the time. I might have to go to work. This has been a long video. Company type. Web development or design. This is one thing. I've never actually really worked at a company where we built products for other people. I've always worked in a software company or a company that was a tech company or a company that had a software department. Information technology, software as a service. But apparently 16% of people work specifically in a web dev industry. Company size, mine's around 300 to 400, I think. Maybe 500, so I'm somewhere around here. It might be more than that. We're in, like, we have multiple offices around the world, and we have about 300 in headquarters, so it's probably closer to this. But but the bulk of people are working in somewhere between 20 to 100 and 100 to 500 person companies. Career values. What do developers hope to be doing in 5 years? Working in different and more specialized technical role than one I am now. So people want to progress in their careers. Imagine that. So for the hiring managers who are looking to keep talent, the average developer is staying at a job for 1.5 years, something like that. Well, why don't you start promoting them if you want to keep them? Because that will work for 34% of people. 20% doing the same work. What's wrong with you? Don't you always want to be evolving? How do developers feel about their careers? Extremely dissatisfied. So 3.5% of people hate their job. And let me tell you, I will be the first one to tell you, quit. Go find a job where you are going to be extremely satisfied. Moderately dissatisfied, slightly dissatisfied, neither satisfied or dissatisfied. I feel like if you're neither satisfied or dissatisfied, you're dissatisfied. So go ahead and be willing to jump and make that. So what is this? About 25% of developers are unhappy as far as I consider it. Or you could, if you just want to take their standard, about 16% of developers or so, 17%. But for the most part, look at this. Slightly satisfied, moderately satisfied, extremely satisfied. What's about 75% of developers are happy. It's a good job to be in if that's the case. Ethics, no, depends on what it is. So most developers are not willing to be shady. Reporting shady. Businesses. I don't know. I just think most developers don't want to go to jail. So that's probably what they're trying to be. Looking for a job. I'm not actively looking, but I'm open to new opportunities. I think this is a good category, which is why you need to, as hiring managers, as management, make sure that you keep your developers by keeping them happy. How do you keep them happy? Well, turns out money, so raises, promotions. Pretty simple. You got to cut the check, though, because not actively looking, but open to new opportunities, 60%. 60% of your developers are open to, hey, knock, knock, knock. We got a great opportunity for you. Okay, well, I have a good opportunity. Well, this is a great one. It's like, oh, great one? I'll take a great one. That's basically what that's saying. About 16% are actively looking for new jobs. So 1 in 4 are not interested in new job opportunities. Job search by categories. And this will break it down by country. Who's actively looking for a job? Educator, academic researcher, mobile developer, designer, front-end developer, full-stack developer. How long ago did developers last change jobs? Less than a year ago? 35%. So 35% of people less than a year ago switched jobs. Between 1 to 2 years ago, 22%. So more than 50% have swapped jobs in 2 years, which falls into that 1.5 year category which we were discussing. Cool. Job changes by time, by geography. What words do developers use to describe searching for a job? That's kind of a strange thing. How do developers assess potential jobs? Compensations and benefits offered. Oh, imagine that. Money being number one. Language frameworks and technologies like to be working with. That's awesome. Opportunities for professional development. Oh, being able to advance in your career. Whew. A good company culture. Oh my God, my mind is blown. Opportunity to work at home or remote. Oh my God, not having to drive to the office. That's very strange. Pretty much everything that I would think that most people would find valuable. Differences in assessing jobs by gender. All right. What developers value in compensation? Salary and or bonuses. Health insurance. Computer and office equipment allowance. Conference or education budgets. This is something that I wish was included more often than not. I would love to go to conferences and not have to pay $600 out of pocket to go. Break down the values by competition. Development practice. Stay comfortable while working. Ergonomic keyboard or mouse. Standing desk. I would like one at my work. If you're watching, boss man, just throwing it out there. Wrist or hand support or braces. Fatigue relieving floor mat. I have one in my office underneath here, and I have a standing desk at home, but I do not have these things at work, unfortunately. Everyone uses Agile. Everyone uses Scrum. Kanban is a form of Agile. Pair programming is also extreme programming. I'm not familiar with what these are. And just because they say they use these things doesn't mean they use them correctly. But that is, you'll see that 85% of workplaces you're going to be going into is going to be Agile. So keep that in mind, which is why I suggest that you just sort of become familiar with the concept. How long do developers expect new coworkers to take to be productive? I usually say it's about 3-month period. So less than a month, you're an asshole. So it takes, if you hire someone and expect them to be up and running at 100% in less than a month, you're wrong and you're a jackass, because software is complicated and so are people's environments. But 44% have reasonable expectations of about 3 months, I think. So that's where I fall 5. I'm okay with that. The majority of people, I think it's 3 months. Version control, get slapping fools around. Zip file backups, Jesus Christ. I don't use version control. Okay. So Git, by far 87%. How often do developers check in code? Multiple times per day. That's usually what I'm doing. I think that's just committing code. That's not actually you're pushing out new code, right? How are job satisfaction and committing code related? So if you're writing more code, you're happier. Interesting. I could get behind that. Salary by developer type. Let's go to the United States. Engineering manager, it's very high. DevOps, backend developer 102. Data scientist, full stack developer around the same time. Front end developer slightly lower. Pretty much what we expected. QA test developer. Cool, at the bottom. And then you can see this sort of correlation here. What's here? Salary and experience by language. You can kind of see what salaries are higher than others. And community. Who uses Stack Overflow? 31% multiple times per day. Daily or almost daily, 32%. A few times a week. So basically, we all use Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow just want to let you know that y'all would be nothing without them. That's really it at the end of the day. Sharing what you've built in your developer story. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. But you create your own developer story to show what you've built here. I'll have to take a look at that later. And how often developers participate on Stack Overflow? I don't really participate. Developer opinions on ads. I don't mind the ads. Ad priorities for developers. Don't care about that. Engaging together. Don't care. Interest hypothetically in new tools in Stack Overflow. Sorry, Stack. I don't really care about what you got going on. It's nothing personal. But I am sharing this article so people will check it out. All right. Methodology. How we plan to analyze our survey. All right. We'll leave it there because I'm actually going to be late to work. Hopefully they'll understand. My work's pretty cool. So that was kind of a quick rundown of a very detailed survey. Again, there will be a link in the description. You can kind of run over it, play around with it, have some fun with it. I found it pretty interesting, and some of it was to be expected, and some of it was a little bit stunning. And I don't know what to think about it. And I'm gonna probably take another look at it, just sort of analyze it on my own. And this would be actually something excellent to go and take the data of. People are like, oh, how can I make a good project? Might I suggest you go and take the data. I don't know how long they've been doing the Stack Overflow survey. Take all this data, build a backend for it, build an API, and then chart the data and compare the last 10 years of Stack Overflow survey results. Do something. So a little project idea. People are always asking for one. That's one interesting idea that you could do by taking this data set and make a cool project out of it. But thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share, support me on Patreon, all that good stuff. I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Hey, baby, what do you think about the Stack Overflow survey?
What do I think? Isn't yours... Bleh.
Quick thank to our sponsor, DevicePlus.com. If you guys are interested in Arduino and the Internet of Things, such as Raspberry Pis, might I recommend checking them out at DevicePlus.com. If you click the link in the top corner, it'll take you to a really cool thing. It's an intro beginner level tutorial of how to build a tripwire using Arduino. Check it out.